Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we are going to see artificial intelligence and LLMs. Actually, this is the first video I'm doing on LLM. So we are going to answer two important questions: how are tokens counted inside LLM, and how chatbots or AI remember our conversation. You know, nowadays everyone knows ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and other AIs. But now, how many people actually understand or know what happens behind the scenes? To begin, LLM or large language models are models that are trained with massive amount of data, and the main objective of this model is to predict the next token in the sequence. But now, we hear tokens, but what is actually token? A token is simply a piece of text that the model processes. So, for example, when you send a text or a sentence to an LLM, that sentence is broken into smaller pieces called tokens. And this process is done by the tokenizer. So basically, the tokenizer is the program that takes those sequences, converts the human text into tokens that the model now can understand, because the model don't understand normal words like human beings. So today we are going to demonstrate how this occurs. We are going to use Python and we are going to use the Gemini API. So we are going to pass in a text, and then we count the number of tokens, and we are going to simulate also memory to prove that those LLM do not actually remember previous conversation. Okay, so let's first create a folder where we are going to do our project. And then let's set it to this folder, and then let's open it inside our VS Code. And why is still loading. Before we even start doing the lab, there are some prerequisites. So you will first need to install the UV. You will need to install UV, which is the package manager we are going to use. Usually we use pip, but for this we will install UV. So if you are on Linux or Mac OS, you can use this documentation and then install it. Is pretty simple. If you are on Windows, you can use this other side. So you just click here. If you are on Mac, you click here. So when you install it, you will come and check the UV -- version. See, I'm currently version 0.11.17. After that, we are going to initialize it. When you initialize, we automatically create some folders here: the git ignore, the Python version, the main, the py project, and the readme. After that, we are going to create a virtual environment, and we do that with UV-VNV. Is going to create this .vnv, which will be our virtual environment, and we are going to activate it with the source.vnv.bin activate, and we can see that here our virtual environment is already activated. So after that, we are going to install some packages, and we are going to install two main packages. We are going to install let me show you. Let's go to the PyPy. We are in the PyPy. We are going to install the Google SDK, which is the google-genai. The google-genai SDK. We are going to install this package. You can see how it's being installed, but we are going to use our UV. So let's go back here and we are going to UV at google-genai. Yeah, and you can see here that our google-genai has been installed, and we are going to install now another package, which is the python-dotenv. This python-dotenv will enable us to get our environment, our .env file, because we are going to place our API key, our Google API key there. So let's install the python-dotenv. We can see that is already installed. After that, you will need a Google API key. So just type here Gemini API, and you come to this site. You will come to Google AI Studio. Here you will just click, and here you sign in with your Google account. When you sign in, you will be redirected here to create. In order to create an API key, you just click here, over here, create API key. Then you put the name of the API key, you select the project. You can select the default Gemini project, or you can create your own project. Just put in the name, then you choose the project, and then you click on create. It's going to give you an API key, and is this API key that we are going to put in our .env. So let's copy this. We have already copied our env. So now we have our packages installed, our two packages installed. So to begin, we are first going to create a .env file, and the .env file is where we are going to put all our secrets. So we are going to put our Gemini API key. So you are just going to write Gemini API key, and then you are going to paste the API key that you've created on the Google AI. So we are going to paste it here. After that, you create now. Let's say AI lab dot Python integrated Python notebook. Before that, you will need also to install an extension. You will come here to the extension tab. You are going to install the notebook, the Jupyter Notebook extension. This extension, you are going to install it because it will permit us to create to write the code and run it cell by cell inside cells. So let's begin with the first one. Let's create a cell. Make sure our environment variable is activated, and on this side you are going to select first a kernel. go to your Python environment, select the AI lab and activate it. And this kernel is going to use this our env, our environment, our virtual environment, since we install our two packages inside. You remember the google-genai and our python-dotenv is going to use this our virtual environment. So let's start with the import. Our first one we are going to do is put it into markdown. We are going to first count the number of tokens, so we are going to put here token count, and it will be the part 1, which is the token count. So import the OS. Let's first change this to Python, then import OS. This OS is going to enable us to read our env. Import the OS. We will also import the GenAI from Google. Import the GenAI. Then we are going to import our .env we just installed. So from .env we are going to import the load env. So let's create another cell. To create another cell, you just press the capital. To create a cell below, you press capital B, and to create a cell above, you press capital A. And this is a markdown. So to create a markdown, you will just double click here and you will see this is a markdown. You can select what you want. Markdown is for text, and then our Python, where we are writing our code, we use Python, so we select Python. So let's continue. After after importing all our modules or packages we are going to use, we are now going to use our API key. So let's first define here, let's first load the .env, and we are going to put the override equals to true. So this override will enable us to override the system environment, so we can use our environment variable, our values here inside the .env. So after that, we are going to put the API key equals to, we are going to do the os dot get env, and we are going to pass in you remember our Google API key we place inside the env, so we are going to put the Gemini API key. We are going to put just the key, and it is going to put the value out of the file. So here we are, after that we are going to run some check, because we need to check if our env is loading, if we can access it, if we can read it before we actually use it. So we are going to write some check. If not API key, we are going to simply print a message that will say API key not found. We can just put it, we can just say please check the .env file. So if the API key is not found, we are going to check the .env. So else we are just going to print just going to be API. We can just say API key found, API key found, and ready to be used, something like that. Yeah. So after that, we are going to run the cell. To run a cell, you have two options. Either you can just press here, this button, execute, and it's going to run it. You see here it has run it. Or you can just press shift on your keyboard plus enter. Shift from enter, and from the output we see API key not found. Please check your env file. But our env file is having the API key. Oh, I did a typo. Here is supposed to be Gemini. Yeah, Gemini API key. Yeah, something like that. Excuse me for that. Gemini API key. Yeah, so let's run it again. Okay, now API key found and ready to be used. So now next we are going to see the models. First we are going to use, so we will come here and say Gemini free model. Yes, you are going to come here and check the free models we can use. You are going to see the list of free models we can use. What are we going to choose? There's the Gemini Pro 2.5 Pro that you can use. There's the flashlight you can use, but we are going to use this Gemini 2.5 flash. Yeah, we will use this one. Let's just copy it. So let's come here. So we are going to declare first a constant, and you do that by putting all in caps. We are going to put the Gemini there. Then now we are going to initialize the client. So we will use our Genai. Our Genai we imported up there. Our Genai we imported here. Dot the client, and you can say that this client is a class, and it takes in many parameters. So we can put here, takes many options. So we can put here the API key, the credentials, and all this. But also we are just going to put the API key, and we are going to use this value, this API key we define up there. API key, and we are going to just launch it. After that, now we are going to try to count now our tokens. Let's first put the content here. This content is just the message we are going to put, so it will be able to count. So here we can just put a sentence like my fave rapper is Young Dog. Okay, so this content will be our message. It's like the prompt that you usually put your sentence that you pass into, you enter, or you give the LLM. So now it's going to, the tokenizer will now take it and now convert it into tokens. So this is just a simple message we are going to give the LLM to count. So after that, we will just take in the response. We will just declare this variable response, and we are going to use our client. We initialize up iron.models.count token. You can see that this count token, this is the method we are going to use in order to count the token. And you can see here, if we go in there, you see that it takes in the model, it takes in the content. So this model is the model we are going to, the model it uses, and in our case it will be the Gemini 2.5 Flash. And here is our message, which is the content we are going to pass in. So this content and this model we define up. So we are going to put in the models. Model equals to our model we define up here, and now the content will be our content. We put the contents there, the content there, and now we try a bit to put the response, and we will see this sentence, this content, this sentence is going to have how many tokens. What do you think? What do you think will be the number of tokens for this sentence? Let's try and see. Okay, here we can see that we have the token count response, and we can see that our total token here is 8. So this sentence contains is practically 8 tokens. This piece of sentence, what we can do, we can just try to print it in a nice way. Let's just print total. Let's put first an F string. Total token is, let's try to put in the response dot the total tokens. So let's try to run it once more. Okay, here now we see total token is 8 tokens. So that's how they do in order to count the token. Since when we usually subscribe to LLMs, we usually see that we have limited number of tokens. So this is how they do, and each tokenizer has its own function how to calculate it. So the way you calculate tokens maybe in Gemini might not be the same way in ChatGPT. So each LLM has their way to count those number of tokens. We can also try with another sentence. This one gives us 8. Let's try with another one. Let's try we are currently learning LLM engineering. We are going to pass in also characters. That's so cool. Let's try to see how many tokens this will be. See, this one is 15. So this first part was to see how the tokens are being counted, and let's move to the second part. We are going to, let's first put here for the markdown. Here it will be to see how we will simulate memory. So it will be chart memory. So as you already know, each API call, each request that you send to an LLM is stateless. That means that it doesn't try, or it doesn't keep any memory. LLM don't have memory. So we will just try to simulate how it is usually done. Let's first, we are going to do that with what we call the system prompt and the user prompt. So the system prompt is the context, is how you tell the LLM to behave. So it's just a prompt on how you tell the LLM to behave, and the user prompt is the normal text you give to the LLM, what you want him to do. So let's just put here system prompt. System prompt here, we are just going to say, let's change it to Python. System prompt, we are just going to say hey, or you are just going to tell him you are an assistant. You are an assistant, and our user prompt will be, let's just say, hey, my name is man in the middle. My name is man in the middle. And since we are going to put in the content, because we already saw here that this model takes in model and content, and the content will be the message. Since these are our two messages, we want to give it our two messages, which is the system prompt and the user prompt. We are going to put it inside. We are going to declare here, we are going to just declare variable message, let's say message, and then we are going to just put it like a list, and we are going to put the system prompt and the user prompt. Then after that, we will just return the response one. You can just put it as message one here, system prompt one, user prompt one, and here we just use it the one, and here we are going to put in the client dot the model, and this time we are going to use the method generate content, which this method also takes in the model and the content. We are going to put in the model as our model we define up there, and now the content here will be this our message one, and this our message one is a list that has our user prompt and system prompt. So we are going to pass in the message one here, and we are just going to return this response one as text. I'm going to return this response one as text. Let's run it and see what will happen. Okay, the LLM responded, hey, the man in the middle. That's certainly a name that grabs attention. Wow. So now we can see that this was our first call. This is our first call to the LLM. So now we saw that we gave him the name and then he responded, how can I help you today? Okay, let's now try to send the second one. Let's try to send in another system prompt now. For example, the system prompt 2, we are still going to say you are an assistant, and the user prompt 2 this time will be, hey, do you still remember my name. So here, this was the first prompt saying, hey, my name is man in the middle. This other prompt, we are going to tell him that, hey, do you still remember my name? Let's try to put it in a list. Here we are going to say message 2. We are going to put the system prompt 2 and the user prompt 2. And then we are going to put the response to is equals to the client dot the model dot the generate content. We will pass in the model, which is our model we define up there, and the content this time. And the content this time will be the message 2. Okay, this message 2, and now we are going to display the response to as a text. Now I have a question for you. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen with this our second prompt? Do you think it's going to remember our name, since we said, hey, do you still remember my name? Do you think it's going to remember our name or not? Try to guess it. So let's see what will happen. You see that? Take a minute to see that. As an AI, I don't have a memory as human sense, so I don't return personal information like name. You see something? What just happened? Please remind me your name. Bert, come on, bro. We just told you my name here. You responded. Hey, hi there, man in the middle. You actually responded, but what happens now? We see what we explained earlier, that each call you do is stateless. That is, the AI does not keep anything. So here we just demonstrated it, that the AI don't have memory. Now let's try to trick or to simulate memory now with this our third prompt. Let's pass in the system prompt 3 here. Let's say system prompt 3. Actually, let's just put the message 3 here. Let's just do message 3, which will be a list. And now inside this message 3 list, what are we going to put? Can you guess? We are going to put the message 1 and the message 2 inside this our message 3 list. So we are going to pass in the message 1, and here we are going to pass in the message 2. So inside this our third list, we are passing in our first conversation that we did, like, hey, my name is man in the middle, responded. We are going to pass in now the second message here. Do you still remember my name? Let's try to see what will happen. So we are going to display the response 3 this time. Response 3, which will be the client chart dot generate client model dot generate content. We pass in the model, which goes to the model, and the content. The content this type will be the message 3, and here we are going to put the text, display the text. Now what do you think will happen? First one, we told him the name. Second, he did not remember our name. Third, what do you think will happen? Let's try and see. You see that? You see that? Let's try to see it. Yes, I do. Your name is Man in the Middle. It's nice to meet you. So we saw here how we can trick memory, or we can simulate the memory by passing in the previous messages and sending it with the current one. So usually that is how those chat AIs, those chatbots usually do. They send in previous messages along the current one in order to simulate those memory. So today I think this is the end of this video. This will be the end of this video. We saw the token count. We saw how tokens are being counted, and we also saw how we can simulate memory in chat, and we understood that LLMs don't have memory and they are stateless, and in order to trick or to simulate those memory, we pass in the previous messages along with the current one. So I think I'm going to end here for today. Try to reproduce that, and next time when you are using an AI and maybe you are using ChatGPT or Gemini and you see that your tokens are already finished, you can use this to see if you have been robbed. I'm just kidding. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.